Hello and welcome to the demo of Decapod project. Decapod is the tool which simplifies management of Ceph clusters. Using this tool, you can easily deploy your Ceph clusters. Also, you can manage them, manage their life cycle. You can add new OSD hosts, add new monitors, remove them, add those gateways to existing configuration. You can purge cluster, you can do whatever you want with this tool. So let's check what do we have here. Let's log in first. Okay, and we have some sections here. On the screen, clusters. Right now we have no clusters, so we're going to create new one. Let's call it Ceph. It has 0 servers right now, and no details about configuration because we just created it. This section is responsible for listing your existing clusters. Configuration section displays playbook configurations. Each action in Decapod is presented by a playbook. Each playbook is plugin, so Decapod is pluggable system, and you can plug in new functionality, installing new package. That's all. This configuration is about configure playbook to execute. So first you select cluster, after that you create new configuration based on servers. Right now we have no servers, and I'm going to cover this a bit later. I'm going to show playbook configuration later when we'll have servers and we will deploy some Ceph cluster. So right now just remember that playbook configuration is just a configuration for plugin to execute. And we have several playbooks here. First is add OSD to Ceph cluster, deploy Ceph cluster, purge existing cluster, and remove OSD host from Ceph cluster. Hello World is just a dummy plugin just to show how to develop plugins in Ceph, in Decapod. Server section, right now it has no servers. Decapod uses server discovery based on Cloud Init by Canonical, and I show it a bit later. Execution is just a listing of some executions of these playbooks. User management, it has just right now we have one user called root and one role called wheel. Wheel can do everything, so let's create a new role. Just let's say viewer, and this viewer you can just view, so just you can view. We're going just to select all these permissions. These permissions are mostly permissions to API and endpoint calls. And since it's viewer, it cannot execute any playbook. It can just view. These playbook permissions allows user to execute certain playbook. Okay. We have viewer here, new role. And we don't need it later, so just remove it. Important thing about Decapod is that it stores all history of any item that you have. Even if you delete something, it's just marked as deleted by some tombstone. And you can restore it later or audit history about changes within the clusters. Let's talk about servers and server discovery in details. As I said before, Decapod uses Cloud Init based server discovery. You just create your user data script and force Cloud Init to execute it, and after that this remote host, this Ceph host, it will register in Decapod with correct settings. I'm going to use Mass. Mass is another canonical tool called Metal to Servers, and it can manage some Metal servers. What's more important, it can operate with user data. I have 5 hosts here. Each host has one core, some RAM, and 5 disks. And right now they just commissioned and allocated. They have no operating system installed. So I'm going to install this operating system. To do so, first I have to create my user data configuration. I can do it with command line interface. Cloud config. Right. We need to have some server discovery token and public key. I have public key here. This is public key for remote user. On execution of cloud init, new user will be created with some proper sudo permissions, and this user will be used by Ansible later. Ansible will SSH to this machine using some private key. So let's create our user data configuration. 10.10.05 is IP address of my Decapod installation. So cloud. Oh, I forgot. I need server discovery token. Yeah, server discovery token is just predefined authorization token just for server discovery. This token is used by none. It's just used by during server discovery, and using this token you can access only one endpoint. Just create new server. So Decapod 10.0.5 cloud config. I'm going to copy paste this token and my public key. Let's check what do we have here. We have cloud config. We need to have Python installed. This is a requirement for Ansible. And we will create some new user called Ansible. Put this public key as his authorized key and sudo setting. After that, we have several files to deploy, 2 scripts. They mostly doing some internal work like getting correct local IP, getting correct identifier for machine. Right now we're using BIOS UID as a host identifier. And this cloud config script will be executed. So let's deploy our machines. I have profile for mass called please. So mass please. Let's read. Okay, I have machines here. Okay, here we are. So mass please deploy check help file. No. Mass please machine deploy. Yeah, that's correct. And we have used data here. It has to be base 64 encoded Unicode. So our system IDs. Okay. Here is our blob. So mass please machine deploy our system ID user data, and I'm going to copy paste the stuff. right now it's not possible to insert it in UI of mouse, so I'm going to copy paste it here. And I'm going to deploy default distro. Right now default distro is Xenial. So first one, deployment has been started. Okay. Let's list it again. Okay. Another one. Boom. Just to recap, what am I doing right now? Right now I'm deploying Ubuntu Xenial on this servers with my user data. After machine is deployed, on every boot it will access Decapod API and register as a service for Decapod. When we'll have these servers, we can create our playbook configuration for the Ceph cluster to deploy actual Ceph cluster. This takes time, so I'm going to pause this video and come back later when deployment will be finished. Welcome back. After a while, our servers were deployed. And we have these servers in server list, so the servers were discovered automatically. Actually, each server using cloud init possibilities, it just posts some request on API, and after that Decapod added it. We have 5 servers here, and we can check facts, the IP addresses, the BIOS version, and etc. So our goal here is to deploy this Ceph cluster. We have Ceph cluster model and we have server list. So let's create new configuration to deploy it. So cluster Ceph, name is deploy, right? Okay. And select this deploy Ceph cluster, and it requires a list of servers. Actually, some playbooks, they don't require the server list because we get the servers from context. For example, if we purge cluster, we can take all machines from this cluster and use them, and there's no need to select servers manually. Okay. Let's deploy 4 machines here. Not 5, 4. I'm going to add this polite red later. Okay. And here we are, our playbook configuration. This playbook configuration is pretty close to Ansible inventory file. And actually it has this section inventory. Basically, this inventory section is dynamic Ansible playbook. We have 4 drives here. Alright, and this is our role configuration. We have 1 monitor and 3 OSD hosts. Each OSD host has 4 drives, and it means that as a result we'll have 12 OSDs. Global variables, just a section for common variables for every host. We don't need to repeat them in each host variable. Of course, we can just redefine this max open file for this host here. Just max open file. And let's say it's some big number. Okay. And we'll redefine this global variable. What do we have here? We have our own in-house repository for Ceph, and we support only Xenial for a moment with GL release. So we will deploy GL on Xenial using our repository. The name of the cluster is Ceph, and we've got calculated cluster network and public network. Right now I have only one network, so it's the same. Okay, this configuration is good enough for me. But if I want to change something, I can just update it and save it. And I've got a new version. Okay, here we have two versions. Actually, they're the same. Right now they're the same, so it doesn't matter which one execute. But I'm going to execute this one, this version. Click. And I've got this execution created. This is ID of execution, this is our playbook configuration, and status is created. When we click on execute, new task for controller service was created, and controller service will start executed as fast as it can. Okay, execution has been started. We can check logs. And this is a log of our execution. This information will be updated automatically on every new step happens. After all, we can download whole log of Ansible, just this std-out pure log of execution. Execution takes time, so I'm going to pause this video again and come back later, when execution will be completed. Our Ceph cluster was deployed. Status completed means that everything was deployed without any problems. Oh. Session was expired because it took time. Okay, what do we have here? Everything is okay or skipped. So we can see the name of the step, the ID here, the result of execution, some details. This is mostly about some errors, but we have no errors here, so this filter will always be empty. And we can check a log of execution. Let's check it. Oops. And as you can see, this is a log of Ansible execution as is. So if you have any problems and Decapod API or UI doesn't fit your needs, so you can always just check whole log of execution. And we have 4 servers here as expected. We deployed only 4 servers. Let's add a new one to our configuration. Add red. Okay, add OSD to Ceph, and this polite red. On previous step we skipped it, and right now we're going to deploy it and to connect to this cluster. The same configuration, and it looks similar. This is our monitor, and this is our machine we are going to deploy. right? Okay, this is good enough. Execute. And again, it takes time, so I'm going to pause this video and come back when status will be completed. Start it, and let's wait for complete status. Execution has been completed. Let's check our Ceph status. As you remember, our monitor IP is 10.10.06, so let's SSH to it. I have Ansible SSH key file, private key file, and I'm going to use it to SSH to this machine. Yes. Okay. Health is okay. We have everything active clean, so everything is up and running, and we have 16 OSDs, all of them up and in the cluster. Oh, here we are. Okay, 4 hosts, 4 OSDs per host, and all of them up and running. Everything looks great, but I don't like some server. Which one? I don't like to have this polite red. I just add it and I want to remove it right now. So to do so, we need to execute this playbook. Remove red. Okay, polite red. These changes. And this playbook configuration is rather simple, because everything we have to do is just to remove it. Execute it again. Okay, execution has been created. And execution has been started. I'm going to pause this video and come back when execution will be finished. Execution has been completed. Everything looks okay, but let's check our cluster. Health is still okay, and we have 12 OSDs right now. And before we had 16. And yes, we have no OSDs on this host. Let's check this host. And it has IP, okay, 0.7. So let's SSH to it. Okay. Okay, we have no partitions. These disks where OSDs were placed, they're empty right now, so partition was removed. And we have no Ceph process on this node. And let's execute last playbook here in this demo purge cluster. This playbook actually purges whole cluster and will have no any Ceph related data. And after that, our cluster will be destroyed. So this configuration will be empty and this cluster will be destroyed automatically. Okay, let's purge it. first cluster, and as you can see, it has no servers required. So we just click and playbook configuration will be generated for us. Yes, this is our configuration, and this host will be purged. Execute. Again, it takes time, so I'm going to pause this video. Execution is in progress, and while we wait for it, I'm going to show you some additional feature called monitoring. And this actually collects data about OSDs, some host info, OSD info, uptime, and whatever, load. And you can check this page just to realize what is going in your cluster. Okay, execution has been completed. Let's check logs. Skipped. Okay. And it looks fine for me. Let's check our clusters, and we have no clusters. Okay, let's check our clusters. Okay, nothing is here. What hosts do we have? Okay, let's check this exotic swept. 3. Yes. Okay, no Ceph processes. And disks were formatted, so everything looks fine. Everything that you can see in UI, you can actually use command line interface. Let's check which playbooks do we have. Okay, here is the list. Users. And you can modify, create, delete the entities, and you can work with command line interface if you don't like UI. And this is the end of the demo. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.